All right. Yo. Oh, shoot. All right. Let's do this. What's up, everyone? We are giving a presentation today. Skeptics in the pub. Maybe we will be this, join now. Hello. Testing. Hi, I'm Greg. Nice to meet you. Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds great. Okay.
And then I will remove her from screen completely, and the floor is yours for however long you want. And then by the end, when it will be obvious that
Mm-hmm. Sure. Perfect. Okay. Roger. Thank you. Okay. Cool. Okay. Cool. Perfect. Thanks, guys. It is. Yeah. Yeah. But you know what? 30% of my audience is in Europe. So, yeah, I actually have a lot of people in the UK, and throughout Europe that watch. Yeah. So it's cool. Mine, yeah. Well, yeah, I'll probably go live later tonight. Yeah. Yeah, usually pretty consistently. Yeah, I've been taking for the last year. Yeah, for the last couple weeks, I've kind of taken a little bit of a break just to refocus and get some other like real life things done, and then. But yeah, usually every night. It's um yeah, I mean, I think that you should. I think that you should. Yeah, I've been doing science communications for like since November 2020. So I mean, you definitely do. And sometimes in a debate, you're always like, oh man, is this person like actually knowledgeable? Does he actually know what they're talking about? But then you kind of just once it starts happening, you just kind of it's all familiar. So, yeah. It's a it's shockingly repetitious. So you kind of get into that whole, that flow. Mhm. Yeah. No, I think that's common. I mean, I think that's good too. It means that you actually care. I think if you didn't have any nerves, if you didn't really you're just, lackadaisical, then, you're gonna put out a product that you aren't proud of, and I think that's a huge problem. Mhm. Oh, uh, here, let's see. Here we go. I can flip it. There. Mhm. It's good. It's a game. Yeah, the rule of thirds in photography. There you go. Okay, perfect. It's okay. Okay, cool. Thank you. Mhm. Okay. Oh, shoot. One second. I'll be right back. Yeah, we're doing it from the pub. I gotta get my,
Where have you been? We've been hosting skeptical talks online for over 6 years, keeping skeptics entertained with the best skeptical content available. And that's an undebatable fact. Tonight, we'll be following the usual format. We'll have a talk from our fabulous guest. Then after a short break, we will have a Q&A. If during the evening you have a queue you would like to see aid, please visit sitp.online/ask. That link and other little treats will be put in the chat box throughout the evening. Tonight, we are joined by Dr. Greg Newkirk. Dr. Greg is a PhD in molecular biology and is the host of The Dr. Greg Show, where he debates science deniers of all types live every single night. Here to tell us more about the trials and tribulations of live debates with science deniers, please welcome to the screen Dr. Greg Newkirk.
Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Thank you for the great intro. I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. I love the concept, and I love the idea of like casual, deep conversation between friends, and figuring out. Those are some of my favorite memories of undergrad and grad school, is going to the pub and talking about science with people. So this is a like format that's close to my heart. So, and since we are in the pub, if you are as well, skeptics in the pub, right? We're gonna, hey, we have to. Cheers. Well, I am Dr. Greg. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, so basically I've debated a lot of people online. I host a science show, and I have learned some things that hopefully you can bring to your life. And my goal here is to really, well, yeah, so I've been a research scientist for 17 years. I got my PhD at UC Riverside, UC San Diego for my undergrad. I've had my reviews published in Nature Nanotechnology. I had major publications in ACS Nano. I've worked on the biotechnology side of some of the biggest chemical companies in the world. And I've been, gotten money from the government basically in order to do that. And basically, for about a year now, I've been doing a lot of debates on TikTok. So, people, TikTok is a platform where people can stream, and then they join the conversation, and you can have debates with them live. And basically, I mean, probably like over 500 debates now over the last. And primarily, when I was doing 10 debates a night for the first 6 months, it was a lot. But my goal here is to inspire you to get involved. If we are, I feel like, at a pivotal moment um, with science under attack, I would say globally, especially specifically, obviously, in the United States too. But I feel like we have to engage with these thoughts, these debates, these ideas. Science has to be getting involved. Skeptics have to get involved. That are, maybe you've been watching, but hopefully by the end of this, you have been inspired to actually get involved yourself. Um, so yeah, so actually debating people and stuff, actually going through it is is a little nerve-wracking at first. What are they gonna say, or do they actually know what they're gonna talk about? Am I gonna be made a fool of? But when you kind of defend your ideas online, it kind of follows a similar playbook. Basically, I did a transcript analysis of all my debates, and basically 90% of them are the same questions and the same topics. So it's like it's nerve wracking, but also you kind of get into the rhythm pretty quickly, and you don't know when your thing is going to really happen. I've had science communication when I started in November 2020. I It was one person or two people in my Twitch chat and my YouTube. And then in the last year, I've really gone to TikTok, and TikTok has kind of allowed me to uh, reach more people. TikTok really pushes your content out to new people, unlike really any other social media. And I would, gather that you have more of a chance to go viral on TikTok than you really do on any other algorithmic social media platform, I would argue. Um, and, facts alone don't win, right? And I think that that's a big point. Like, you can, engage with people, you can be right on the merits, but at the end of the time, it's um you're not gonna win over that person in that moment, right? They're not going to just like, "Oh, have an epiphany," and be like, "Wow, that's a really good point." But, hopefully, through going live and going through these social media algorithms, you kind of like create an intimacy, a relationship. People call it parasocial relationship with someone, so that hopefully they feel like they can trust you, right? That you've become someone that is going to tell them how it is, and I've actually had a lot of success on this, which is cool. There have been, especially in the first couple months, basically one of the biggest supporters of my stream was a Republican, and I thought that that was really cool, because I don't agree ideologically, but they, kept watching because I was going to tell them the truth. And, I think that you kind of win over hearts and minds by giving them tough love, sometimes. And that's something that's a really big thing. You can represent yourself, represent your ideas, be skeptical of something, try to take it down, take down that idea. And maybe that person that you're talking to isn't going to have that epiphany, but someone who's watching could have that epiphany. Maybe they've, had that same quandary in their mind, and now they see you tackling it and they say, well, that's a good point. So that's a big, that's the big guiding idea, I think. Because and we need you. We need you to get involved, specifically because basically fake news or misinformation can spread like wildfire, way more so than any other media. So, there was a science publication that looked at this. Basically, fake and false news, 70% more likely to be shared because it's solving a problem, right? There is a quandary, there's a fight that's happening, and this is a simple solution that only you know now, right? And that's where this misinformation comes from, and people are engaged on the misinformation side, or they're spreading more misinformation side than the people that are creating educational, high quality information, for sure. And that's my point, is that's why I think that you should get involved too. I think that you should get involved in science communication, or battling skeptical ideas, or pushing your hobby, or whatever it is. Good content, good ideas, good information needs to be pushed more on these algorithms, and that's why I'm trying to recruit you today. And it's smaller than you think, the amount of people that can have a huge impact. So only 12%, 12 accounts accounted for 65% of anti-vaccine misinformation online. So basically, disinformation are these 12 accounts, right, that are spreading and seeding the disinformation. And then misinformation is those people that have watched that. Now they're talking to their friends, they're talking to their aunt, they're telling their uncle, hey, I heard this online, and what do you think about it? So you can have more of an impact than I think that you realize, and and by creating new content and sharing new good natured content, that's how we fight this. I think that we fight the battlefield on these algorithms. Um, and I think you can't win like these arguments and these conversations, and you can't when you're talking to your aunt, or you're debating people in your own life. Maybe you don't have a live stream, you don't want a live stream, but you want to engage this. How do you actually engage? What do you do? Well, you can't you can't bring that epiphany. People, there's a saying, you can't reason someone out of an idea that they haven't reasoned themselves into, right? So, but my biggest through line, my biggest tip for you to take this into your next debate or your next conversation is to ask questions. Ask someone. You have a friend that's a flat earther. Why do you believe that the earth is flat? Why do you believe these things? Where did you get this? Where did you actually find it? And the big thing is what I've learned, you can just look up the things that they send you. Sometimes when you ask that question, it's like, "Oh my gosh, is there going to be like some information that I can't deal with? How can this is going to open me up to a lot of lines of attack, right?" No. A lot of times the source that they will have linked you doesn't even agree with them. That happens 90% of the time. You'd think that there's no way that that's gonna happen, but that genuinely, someone gives me a source about how vaccines cause autism, and I look it up, and it doesn't agree. Like, the title won't agree. That paper won't agree with what their conclusion is. So you have to kind of question someone, and I've had this myself. Like I've had, think for yourself, like what is the last idea that you have really changed your mind on, right? That you're really, especially someone that believes that the scientific community is in a global cabal in order to keep the Earth flat, to the vaccines cause harm, or the new one is viruses don't exist. So that's the new thing. In order to kind of because anti-vaccine rhetoric has exploded, basically, wouldn't it be convenient if viruses didn't even exist and we didn't have to worry about them? And then now the only thing that's left is the vaccine, adverse side effects, and so that's how they get themselves into these loops. And um, my point is that if these people kind of believe that the global cabal is, scientifically coming for them, or that it can um, create so much millions of people, right? Millions, a global conspiracy. Um, what can't they do? And you're really asking that person to completely change their state of view. I would argue that there are some foundational conspiracies that really lead to some other ones. And if you're leading and asking someone to reconsider their entire worldview, think about that. You're kind of you're deconstructing, as they say, someone's entire philosophy. So think about the largest thing that you've changed your mind on. How hard was it for you to see that? So, but when you changed your mind on that thing, it required you to do that research, do that inquisition on yourself, and on your mind, and foster that, and be kind to that person. Right? I think that's the goal for people that are misinformed. We help them up, we give them a hand up, but for disinformation agents, the people, the 60, these 12 accounts, right? We are relentlessly, dogmatically after pursuing these people, right? That's the difference. So RFK Jr., who has blood on his hands because the anti-vaccine rhetoric that he spews, and the false things and the lies that he spews, that's a lot different than your misinformed uncle, right? That's what we're talking about. So the costs. So what it actually means in order to do these things when you try to stream, or you advocate for yourself online, or putting good natured content out. um you're going to be baited. People are going to troll you. It's very weird. I don't understand the amount of time that people have on their lives, but they just continuously will, comment on your stuff. But at the same time, like, that actually pushes your stuff. So the more people engaged with your ideas and your posts, even hate watchers, that's a huge, huge benefit. So on Facebook, like, my shorts will do 3 or 400,000 views a month. And I would say probably about 60 to 70% probably is hate watchers. So, but they continuously comment, they continuously react, they continuously watch my stuff, and it pushes my stuff out to a lot more people than I would normally see. you'll get things wrong, and I think that that's normal, and getting wrong is the first stage of learning, so we should always be trying to know how we are wrong, right? And, social media creates this PR world where we kind of have to have a take on everything, and we have to have, perfect opinion. You have to have a correct opinion, and you have to be, 100% committed to this position because that's what my video says, and that's not true, that's not true. You can just say, "I don't know. I don't know about that. I don't," then that's fine. It's better to follow fewer stories deeper than a ton of stories surface level. That's just how your brain's gonna start working, right? If all you understand are titles amongst 10,000 articles versus, 5 issues at a really deep understand a deep level, that's gonna be a lot better for your brain and society. The silent audience is who you're talking to. This is the biggest thing I think that people do not understand about debates is that you are not trying to change that person's mind. You're trying to change the person's mind that's watching that has the same opinion. That's the takeaway, right? That when you're having that conversation, and those dozen people now that have come to me and said, "Hey, you changed my mind on vaccines, and now me, myself, and my kids are all vaccinated, and we are all up to date." That's that I didn't talk to any of those people. I talked to maybe one out of those 12. But, they DM me afterwards and said, "Hey, you had a big impact on me, and I've been thinking about this a lot, and it's better to protect my kids than to keep following this." And I'm shocked, but, um, it's really cool. I mean, it honestly, makes me feel something every time that that happens, and, it those wins are few and far between. They're very few and far between, but it is, it's important. So, if you aren't in that vacuum, if scientists aren't in that vacuum, other people will, right? Misinformation follows. Debates, people say like, "Oh, nobody's mind has changed. Nothing. What's the reason for debates?" And it's like, well, what if a scientist wasn't on that debate panel? What would science would still not be present, right? So you as a scientist or you as a pro science person showing up, it's better. Presentation matters, right? It matters. It matters that they're there. And people respect scientists. So 83% want to actually hear directly from scientists. And like I want to declare that you are not a scientist just because you have a PhD. I have a lot of PhD friends, by the way, that aren't scientists. So that don't like science. They got the PhD because that was just a route that they wanted to go for their job. They don't see themselves as a scientist, right? That's what I'm saying. And I firmly believe that you can be. I've been a scientist my entire life, and until I got that PhD. So I'm really trying to say that sometimes the best science communicators are people that are of all different layers of education and background, and that diversity matters. And basically, the trust is earned in those public settings, right? And when you have those conversations and you have that public airing of the information, that's how people learn to trust it because they see it, right? And the new data coming from the US, 77% people still trust science, scientists specifically, right? Versus 28% of politicians. And this matters in terms of, where people are getting their medical information, for example. It's social media. And I think that that's why majority of people are getting their medical information from social media now, and that's why, by the way, that this isn't just contained to the United States. We see it in Canada with measles there. So it's, a rural, population, in Canada that have, and suburban, areas that have been, not vaccinating to about 85%, and measles requires 95% vaccination status to have herd immunity. So that's why they had a huge outbreak of measles this last year, and it's ongoing in the United States, and it doesn't look like it's going to get any better. So it has real ramifications here. We're talking real lives. And, and I do think that, if that idea isn't on the social media feeds, if people, my current take and my current theory is basically that people believe these social media algorithms more than they believe their own eyes and ears. And, we've seen that multiple times in the United States with conspiracies that are just blanketly not true, and people believing them anyway. And we can see that they, vote differently because of those conspiracies. Um, and when science as a idea or a thought process or a way to gain knowledge over time is not seen or on these algorithms, they don't people don't think that it exists. So that is now we are at the moment where science communication has to engage, more so. And the biggest problem is that, being a researcher in the lab is a lot different than the skills needed in order to do this or science communication or something like that. And it's just a difference, two different skill sets. One of them requires thumbnail generation and thumbnails, titles, and audio quality checks and all this type of stuff. It's actually science communication is a lot more like that than it is about like talking about your background in science. That's what I thought science communication was going to be, where I just get to talk about science all day. This is really nice, but no, it's actually kind of like 2 or 3 hours of streaming and then an hour to process the stream for shorts and then another hour to process long form video. So you actually need to be pushing out science communication stuff not just on short form content but also like on YouTube is where like majority of video content is watched in the world globally every year. So it absolutely matters. And I do think that science is political inherently. So a lot of people will say, "Oh, I don't think, I want politics out of my science," right? People will say, "Oh, I wish science just wasn't political anymore." And I argue that it always was political because science requires public funding. So, and if we require public funding, then we require people to pay taxes on it. And if we require people to pay taxes on it, then a budget has to be passed for that bill, right? So, and politicians have to vote for that. So, if we don't espouse, and talk about the awesome things of science, then public trust is going to go down. Public and money for science is going to go down over time. What I think that people are trying to say is that they don't want science to be ideological or they don't want science to be partisan. That I agree with, right? I don't think that science should be an ideological football that's passed between political parties. I think that we should, we have to have multi-decade science experiments, for example. You guys have like incredible, physics experiments going on right now in the UK or in Europe. I think it's in France. I'm not 100% sure. The Large Hadron Collider and stuff. So my point is that requires partnerships for decades in order to get this stuff engineered and actually built, right? So we have to talk about it. This is a really cool thing that just happened. If you aren't aware, basically, Modern Science Outreach: A Guide for Scientists was just published in Cell. If you're not aware, Cell, Nature, Science are the premier science publications in the world. Nature is in the UK. Science is in the United States. I don't know where Cell is primarily out of, but my point is that this was the first of its kind, really. Basically, a modern science outreach publication on how to do science communication. It put 6 different ideas in there. So I wanted to talk about each of those. The first is kind of like crafting your research summary. So if you are involved in research at any level, if you are, and you should be, if you're an undergrad right now, you should be going and doing research at a laboratory nearby. You should absolutely, that is the number one thing that you can do for sure. And then you should be talking about it. You should be talking about your volunteering. You should be talking about the work that you're learning or what you're learning, doing that working with that lab. Even if you don't want to do grad school later, it's just a good way to disseminate what you're doing and to honestly have like a little CV, right, or a resume that you can have over time. The paper talked about how scientists need to get communication training, which is important. There was never a science communication training class that I'm aware of that I was taken that was ever offered, and that's something that I think you learn over time by doing, but you can also engage in different things like Toastmasters and stuff like that in the US, which is basically kind of like public speaking at um, at events, and then also, but that which is number 4, challenge yourself with public speaking. So, taking opportunities to do public speaking is a good idea. No matter what field that you go into, writing and speaking is going to be a way that you need to communicate your ideas thoughtfully and clearly to audiences. So even if you're doing a board, if you're going to say, I'm going to go into business, like, okay, well, you need to get that board's approval. You know what I mean? um, Engage media and journalists. So, I would say involving yourself and writing articles however you can and engaging with this media and trying to create a these posts and that's kind of stuff. 5, amplify your impact online. Try to go to multiple places. Try to post different areas. People are doing short form content on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook. Those are the main ones, and YouTube. Those are like the main that need to be kind of like posted to. Threads, not so much, but these these areas all matter and they all have like their own little ecosystems basically, and especially like censorship and stuff like that on TikTok is because they do a lot more AI moderation of the content. It's a lot harder to, and I will, when I'm debunking stuff, I get interrupted in the misinformation algorithm just like someone that's talking about the misinformation itself. So TikTok can be specifically very challenging in order to get your ideas out there. And, like, yeah, join podcasts or do shows or whatever like that. That's what this is. I contacted SITP and a couple months ago, and we've just been talking because I wanted to do outreach and I wanted to go on podcasts as much as I can to, talking about this. So that's what I did. Um, these are kind of like my big thing, my steps that I would want to, partake on, give to you would be, one, like I was saying before, post your own work, try to actually talk about the things that you're doing. And then 2 would be teaching your field. So have educational content that you're learning about your field as you learn it. Like you don't need to have a PhD in this concept in order to make a video about that concept. Just the idea that you learn that could be that's the post of the video. That could be the thing. Um, Answering the critics is kind of like the 3rd level. Now you're kind of like engaging with debunks. Now you're engaging with adversarial opinions, right? So now you have to do corrections. You could possibly be something that is that people are going back and forth with. But this is a good idea. This is a good thing. People are engaging with you. You're engaging with them, and that's good for the algorithms. All of my replies and stuff. When you basically hold press a comment, and then it'll come up like reply with the video. That's always a good thing. It pushes your content in the algorithms. And then 4th, I would say like going live. Going live and streaming is really kind of like I would say the biggest bar to climb, because there is kind of this element of like I don't know what's going to happen. It is anxiety prone. So I would say that is something that you could work yourself up to, but also it's really not that difficult. You just kind of like do it, and you have a cool community that you talk to, and you form that's around your ideas. And specifically with TikTok, it's actually really cool. TikTok, if you're not aware, there's the swipe feed, right? There is the swipe feed, and that exists, but then they also have the live feature, and the live feature basically is everyone's live is a chat room with 8 different slots that people can come in, and they kind of sit on your group chat, and as a creator, it's amazing. I don't actually ever swipe on my feed or algorithm at all on TikTok. I just basically go into my friends when they have like a group chat, and we'll like all talk, and and then people will gift and pay money in order to like listen to us talk and chat about a subject. It's actually really fun. So it's a really fun TikTok specifically is a very fun environment for a creator. It's very rewarding. And yeah, and that's what I think, like, streaming, is a group chat. TikTok specifically, it's audio based, so it's more fun, and you can actually turn on your video. That's really fun. You can actually just, like, it's like FaceTiming someone, but then there are other people that can watch, so it's very, very rewarding. Um, the curating the room, don't these people that troll you and stuff like that, you can block them. Don't worry about it. I don't think that's a bad thing at all. And your phone is actually just enough. Like your phone has such a good camera, and honestly, the microphone quality is good enough now that I would just do that. People just make lazy content. You don't have to be it's okay. It's okay to make lazy content. It's actually more relatable because people can like you hear and see exactly what you're expecting when you open your phone, which is what people already see. It's already kind of like the standard. So, this microphone and this camera that I'm using and the backdrop, all that kind of stuff, like that gets a feeling specifically when someone scrolls into my feed or my algorithm, and sometimes that's not relatable to some people, and some people are gonna will swipe off immediately, right? So that's okay, and it's a different environment. So if you were to say that you did do this and you did want to do this, or you're thinking about doing this, and you wanted to actually, you know, like pretty early on, I knew that, I started streaming in August, sorry, no, yeah, October 2020. And pretty early on, I was like, I know that I want to do this and try to, you know, I wanted to invest in it. So the thing that you want to invest in is a microphone. So this is something that you wouldn't necessarily think. The first thing people think is a video camera. Like, oh, I want someone to see me like an 4K, really high quality, but it's not true. Basically, right now my webcam is going through Teams, and then Teams is going through, and then they're streaming it to Twitch, and then Twitch is compressing it, and Teams is compressing it. So the video quality, it actually isn't ever going to be like 4K. You know what I mean? 1080p is perfectly fine, and that's perfectly fine. And specifically, if you're talking about a streaming setup where you have kind of like a game or you have your content, and then you're kind of in the corner, you know what I mean? Think of how small or how many pixels that camera is taking up on the screen. Okay? Think about that. It's like 300 by 400, pixels. So you don't like your video is going to compress down, so it's going to look fine. Like it's going to look fine. Like your video on your what I'm saying is that the video, you can really skimp on this. Don't worry about this. It's actually lighting is actually more important than your video camera. It's true. Check it out. And three, if you are actually going to invest in a piece of gear, invest in a microphone, because people aren't always going to be looking at your stream anyway. So if they aren't even looking at your stream and they're listening to it in the background, it's audio quality is the best. And on top of that, if someone else is going to listen to like, Joe Rogan or something like that, and then they're going to switch on to you, you kind of want like a similar experience on audio quality, because then people think that your word kind of matters more. So that's the thought process. YouTube is the long-term goal, I feel like, for science communicators or anyone that wanted to get involved here. Um, I have like 20,000 followers on TikTok. I have like 1,700 on YouTube, and like basically the YouTube numbers, like when I've been going out to different entertainment stuff, trying to kind of like talk about my show and try to get drum up ideas and support and stuff like that. Basically, the number one thing that people say is like, well, your YouTube, you need the YouTube numbers are the worst. So it's the most important. It's kind of like your CV or your resume. You can upload your TikTok streams to your YouTube. I would definitely recommend that. You can stream at the same time. So my show goes out to Twitch, TikTok, Kick, YouTube, very easily. It's actually just like a click of the button, and there's an add-on that can do it, and you just log into them all, and it co-streams. But if you're going to like do one, I would recommend, the YouTube as kind of like your archive. And using tools like repurpose.io is no relation, no referral code, so you know that it's legit. You know, r- Basically, repurpose.io allows you to make a short, upload it to TikTok or wherever, and then it just automatically posts it to everywhere else. So one upload repurposes to all the different platforms, because you don't need to like manually be doing it and all that kind of stuff, because you want as little friction as possible between you and making that content and then publishing that content. That's the big thing. So I want to inspire you, hopefully, to this week make a post about something. Think whatever it is, a hobby that you want. And people call this like talking head videos or yapping videos. You're just going to record a video, on your phone, talking about something. Don't worry about the intro. Don't worry about anything like that. And um, you can be talking about a claim that you saw or a claim that you have about something, whatever it is. And hopefully, as a good thing to do, just research a source, talking about a source of some primary literature, something that you can talk about that is, oh, like this actually shows my point. And that it's always good to have primary literature, primary, so you can actually see, people can see that and understand, they can go deeper if they want. I would recommend, and this kind of like, having something to say and then researching it and then curating your opinion is only going to make you more informed about the thing that you like anyway. So it's a win-win. And then just one post, just making a post, it and then kind of like not think about it. I think that's the biggest thing, trying to just make a post and then just see that, don't just sit there and refresh. Just, make a post and then kind of put your phone down and try to forget about it as much as you can until you have another claim, another source, and then make another one. You'll see kind of like that nothing really happened. But what did happen is that you might have changed someone's mind, or you might have planted that seed that allowed people to learn, which I think is important. So I think the big thing in these conversations and in what we need to where we need to go is to progress as society, right? These conversations aren't going to be one-in-one conversation or one stream. One short isn't going to do it. Um, it's about connecting with the people that are watching it or are informed after someone else has watched your stuff, and that's how we win and we fight for science. Ask questions, right? Ask questions when you're in talking to people. Say, why do you believe that? What made you think that? Why do you think that this is possible? Asking questions is a good way to learn. It puts the ball in the other person's hands and say, hey, what, like, tell me, just in general, when you're talking to someone, it's always good to ask another person their opinion, because talking about themselves is a natural thing that most people like to do. So it's just a good way of navigating contentious conversations in general, I would say. And look up the sources that they give you. When you ask them, why do you believe that the earth is flat? Oh, I saw this one post. It has a bunch of information on it, and there's a bunch of things that say it. Okay, okay, let's look it up. Google the title, look up the DOI, all those type of things. Just and as you kind of go through the motions, you'll see kind of more what people are counting as information nowadays, and it'll shock you. The vacuum gets filled with or without you. So the you know, people talking on these algorithms know less about the thing that you care about. The people lie on the internet for money. It's I know. I know. This is a really groundbreaking. Nobody nobody has said that before, but it's true. People lie on the internet to make money, and you're not going to be that liar. So that's what's going to make you different, right? Um, so take a step. You know, take a step to engage these people that are pushing this misinformation. Do what you can in order to try to help each other out, to try to educate, and we can start with the thing that you care about the most. So, hopefully, I've inspired you to get involved in some way here. And maybe it's not a post, maybe it's not a short, maybe it's just a comment, but we'll take that as a win. So thank you so much, and I'm ready for questions.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for that amazing talk. There's like loads of great advice that you've given us there, and I can't wait to put some questions to you. If you in the audience have been inspired to do more public speaking and dissemination, there's still time for you to apply to talk at Skepticamp. We'll be in Liverpool on the 16th of October, just before the European Skeptics Congress. But get those applications in quickly. We're not taking any more after the 31st of August. We're going to take a quick 15-minute break, and when we're back, we'll be putting some of your questions to Dr. Greg. So see you at 5 to 8 UK time.
Awesome. Thank you.
And you're out.
Thank you.
I was trying to find the button again. So sorry to keep you waiting.
That's all right.
Okay, so a billion trillion questions already.
Oh, nice.
I will send the link in the chat. If I find
Do you guys?
the chat actually.
I was talking to my friends in London, and I was like, "Oh, you should go to SITP." And did you guys do the in-person stuff still?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
London chapter doing good. I think. I don't remember who's the main guy now. I know Serdar is doing on, and they are going very strong. They opened the second one now somewhere. I think the Oxford is doing something. I talked to them like a couple of months ago. They were very excited.
Very cool.
I mean, Glasgow's the best. If anyone asks, Greg, okay.
Manchester, Liverpool,
I
Newcastle.
think you'll find it's Merseyside that's the best.
Not sure that's correct.
There's a few across the country. Some are like doing better than others. But yeah, like there's usually somewhere to choose from.
Very nice.
Yeah, it means like
Yeah,
if you're ever coming over to visit the UK, Greg, you can probably get a live gig somewhere as well.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Igor and I were
I'm going to
Germany.
jump off
I'm a
and try and
columnist
get my
in
kid
Munich,
to sleep. I'll be back soon.
and we've got a few groups in Germany now too. We've only just recently created a national organization to try and promote it even more.
Very cool.
Right. Do you want? So, if we explained the question and answer session to you?
Not yet.
Okay, I'll do that now. So basically, I'll read the questions to you.
Okay.
So you don't have to worry about reading them. It means that we can keep it as like conversational as possible.
Gotcha. No, I'm good until the last question is is answered. Oh, nice. Nice. Okay. Yeah, I have 2 dogs. So, and 4 kids. So we got a lot. Okay. Let me go see if I can find the dogs. One second. Yeah, there she is. Boom. Florence. Her name's Florence Biting Tail. And then we have Helix is the other dog. He did not come. He's a little old and stubborn, but yeah, Helix. Yeah, so his name is Double Helix. That was all my wife. That was I cannot claim that one. This is so cool. I've never seen Silo before or Slido. This is amazing. Nice. Oh, perfect. That's really cool. No, anything. Any question. No, it's okay. Any question. I that is the life. That is the life I live, my friend. No, no, not right now. Is someone offering? Oh, no, no. I honestly, it's kind of hard to schedule debates and stuff a lot of times, so a lot of times, people, so I just kind of like react to videos, unless, because honestly, a lot of people in my time zone and my time hour, like basically have kind of like stopped joining the TikTok the debate sphere. They, yeah, so it's okay. It's all right. They don't feel as powerful, I guess, maybe. So, oh yeah, YouTube. Yeah, just saying you we go to YouTube or I go on Twitch if you're yeah, I'm live on Twitch too. Oh, drgregshow.com. That has all of them. Yeah, it's Dr. Greg Show everywhere. Any social and drgregshow.com. Okay. No, no, we can definitely the easy ones I'll keep short in order to get through as many of them as I can. I can we can do it. Yeah. I'm trying not. I want to give the fresh opinion. I want to give a good hot take. I think it is really cool though. I think it's a really cool platform. Yeah. It is. I have 4 screens for my stream setup. It is very funny. You just learn where to look at, and then you kind of like I actually have a teleprompter with my camera, so I can like look right into the camera, and yeah, that helps a lot. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's true, probably. That's all you need. Honestly, that's probably the best. Like yeah, it's yeah, like I said, sometimes like the most crude is the most relatable, and that's what people are looking for, and you know. Yeah. I feel like I'm the iPhone 3GS or something. I just the updates have stalled, and I keep getting worse over time. Just keeps the screen keeps freezing on me. It's like all right, thank you.
30 seconds. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live.
Hello and welcome back. We're about to start the Q&A with Dr. Greg. And our first question is a very serious one. It's been submitted by concerned citizens, and they've said, we're debating here. Do you have any pets or not? The only way to solve this debate is to show us your pets right now.
There it is. Well, I have one here. Her name is Florence Biting Tail, and named my wife is a nurse, so she named her. And we have a German Shepherd, Helix, that decided not to come. And I have four kiddos too, so I don't know if they're they're in the domicile, I guess.
I mean, they sort of count as pets, I guess. Okay, so our next question comes from Nadia, and she asks, is there a good way to debate those who say that scientific worldview is just an opinion equal to all other opinions?
Yeah, it is interesting. I think that my line of attack, and normally people kind of say, "Oh, well, this is the apologetics, or this is the thing in order to dismantle their worldview." What I've done is lately I've just been talking about how awesome, evolution debates, for example, evolution versus creationism, transitional fossils. What do you know the things? Do you know the ins and outs? And I've just been in my evolution debates lately, kind of just been going like, we have technologies, we build companies based off of evolution. We have information that we know about evolution so well that we can make money, new materials, new enzymes. And I just kind of like talk about all those things that we've done through science. And conspiracies are inherently reactionary, right? They have to react to whatever the thing that's happening, the complex task that's been demonstrated. The conspiracy says, "Oh no, it's actually a lot simpler than that. It's just this one thing." So I just say, well, if you understand it so well, why don't you patent it? Like, why don't you make money and make a company off of it? Why don't you, what's stopping you? So I think it's we've gone with conspiracies and stuff. We've gone past the point of like, oh, it's cute, like, oh, like it is kind of like quaint that yeah, Bigfoot would be kind of cool if it existed or something like that. We've gone past that to like science denialism that actually does harm people. So I do think that you can push back on there and kind of just say hold it to them. And my favorite thing is like what would you bet money on? What would you bet money on and give them odds, or you know what I mean? How much money would people actually put behind their opinions? And a lot of times, a lot of conspiratorial people wouldn't put any money, behind their opinions. So yeah, that's how I'd frame it.
Yeah, I think something that I spend a fair bit of time thinking about is how beliefs and a person's identity can often like overlap quite a
Mhm.
bit. So how can we make sure that we're having, when we say debate the idea and like not the person, how possible is that? And are there any tips that you have for us for how to engage with debates about ideas without making the individual feel like we don't respect their opinion or their way of making sense of the world?
Yeah, compassion is huge. I think compassion is absolutely key. Leading with that for sure. Um, I would you know, walk people through those examples that they lead and ask questions. Like I was saying before, ask questions. What do you believe and why do you believe it? And then just go with them. Pull it up. They're going to feel very validated when you're going and actually pulling up the source that they talked to you about, and you're trying to learn with them. Like you think that UFOs exist and you think little green aliens are around. Like let's look it up. Let's see. Let's go on that journey together. I think that is a good way of affirming someone, and because you know, um, in a way, their feelings are real. It doesn't matter if the conspiracy is what it is, but their opinions are real, and therefore it's real to them. So therefore, to people, your friends and your family, I feel like you actually have the onus in order to actually walk them back, and within mental health reasons. And I understand that, especially with MAGA and in the United States, and it's gonna been a big rift in families. So I'm not gonna sit there and say that you have to hang out with your abusive family member or something, but I do think that if not you, then who? You know, help the number one way you bring people back from conspiracies and cults is by someone relating to them and kind of like bringing them back and being like, this isn't you, man. I've known you for 20 years, man. And now you're like a flat earther. Like, this isn't you, you know? So I think that is, just talking to them, person to person, is a big win.
Yeah. Okay. Our next question comes from Paul, aka Picticule, who asks, how respectful of an opposing debater's point of view do you need to be? Is blatant ridicule ever justified?
Oh, yes, it is. Yeah. I'm actually known for my mom jokes. That's like that's my thing. So look, I think that like, I think that if someone is being good faith and asking questions, then you deserve it, especially as a science communicator. I've chosen this. You know what I mean? Like I've chosen. I know trolls are going to exist, and I know that these things are going to happen. So you're kind of leaving yourself open to it, right? So but you can match energy. That's the thing that I hate, right? You know, like talking about science, it's so boring, like science. Whenever my wife always says, like, whenever you're talking about science communication, never mention science because science is going to trigger people into the thing that they hate the most in school, and it's boring and nobody wants to talk about science. And I'm like, well, I love science, though. I like science. But, you know, at the same time, like, um, you know, you don't have to be the fuddy-duddy, you know what I mean? You don't have to be the punching bag you know, and if you can match energy. If someone is being toxic to you, you can be toxic to them, you know? And that's why I like the mom joke stuff because it kind of like is a playful thing. It's like a playful thing where it's like, bro, you're gonna get that mad over a mom joke? Like, give me a break. You know, people will attack me, pack who I am, my hair, my all, you know, whatever it is, you know, um, and it's just like, okay, well, if you're gonna attack me personally, then I'm gonna make a mom joke, you know, and it kind of resets the thing because people are like, whoa. I thought you were supposed to be professional. I thought you were a science communicator. You know, you're supposed to, and it's like, no, dude, I don't have to do anything. I'm not getting paid by Pfizer. I'm not getting paid by big government, bro. I'm just here out by myself. Like, if you want to be toxic to me, like, bro, I grew up on early 2000s BattleNet. Okay. Like the messages that I said as a kid would strip paint off the wall. Okay. Mine included. It's not okay. But my point is that like you don't have to be a stick in the mud if you're talking about these issues, and it makes you more relatable because if you do care about this issue so much, like if you really do think that climate change is the end of the world, and you really do think that billions of people are going to die, do you relate more to, you know, CO2 levels are irreparably harming the environment, and now we are at a stage where we could face human extinction, you know, versus, dude, what are we doing? Why are we actually involved in this? Why do something in order to actually save the environment? Why are you doing? Do you know what I mean? Like, one, like it doesn't translate well. If you can't, my doggo is like, I'm gonna get out of here. So, um, so my point is though, is that like, you know, if you do think that vaccines like save lives, then like act like it. You know, it's okay. It's okay. And actually, and this is how we come back from it. I'm telling you, video game analogies and UFC. That's how we come back from this. Even if you've never watched UFC in your life, you understand UFC analogies. And this is what I mean. Like basically right now, science and conspiracies are in a UFC match against one another. And you're watching these guys in the octagon, right? And they're supposed to be fighting. But right now, science is running around. It's just running. And you're like, wait, what's going on? Like, why isn't science fighting? Like, what, like, you're in the fight, science, like, get involved. Like, if you watch that fight, you'd be like, bro, you know, the time to not be in the fight was, you know, before training camp when you signed the contract, bro. You're in the fight right now and it's fight night. Like, let's see it. And right now, science is just kind of like doing, circling the drain and engaged. Like people want you to be more involved. People want you to see more fight out of you. It makes people, get more out of it, I think.
Mm. Is there a risk of like getting that balance wrong? So I suppose if there's topics that like you can't stay calm, you can't stay reasonable, are you better off avoiding those topics or actually using that energy and being quite fighty about it?
Dude, that is your short. If you believe that, and that my whole point was you should make a social media post today. That is your TikTok short. Press record and just scream into your phone about everything that you believe. I'm not kidding. Like that is your first post. If you believe something super strongly to the point where I can't believe why nobody else gets this. This is the thing. Like what is going on in the world? One, it's cathartic because like you're talking about it, but two, it is really important. You know, but there's two lines here, right? Like for me, I can understand um when trans lives are involved or something like that, right? Where it's like people are literally denying the existence that these people even exist. So does a trans person or a black person have to sit there and justify their existence and argue with people online that they exist, that they are real? Like, no, I wouldn't do that. You don't have to do that. I'm saying that though, as someone that like me, like that's an ally, obviously I'm going to defend these positions with that veracity though, right? So I can understand why some people don't want to get involved, why they can't, why the health reasons, why they just can't engage. But then at this other side, like for the people that can, we actually owe it to that first group in order to get involved as we can.
Mhm. Okay. Like, would you say it takes a different approach? The sort of the idea of like screaming into your phone and posting it on TikTok. Like, would you recommend that online, but not at specific people, or just go
No.
for it?
You're literally your whole if your argument is with you just got off a hot argument with your uncle or whatever, and he is a stick in the mud on this, and he keeps saying that vaccines are killing more people than viruses, you're envisioning your phone is your uncle, and you are just like, "Why can't you get this? Why can't you understand this?" That is totally fine. That would do great, like, so, you wanna engage with something. Well, if you're making content, keep in mind the first 3 seconds of the video matters the most. The first 3 seconds is when 90% of people are going to swipe away or swipe past your content. So that is literally the most important thing. So lead and bring in the video with the hottest part of your take, the hottest idea that you have, the one thing that you want to make sure that the people don't understand, that they don't understand, that they understand it now. That is the biggest part that you need to talk into your video, and then kind of explain yourself afterwards. Like, I think that blank, and this is why. Most people don't understand this, but this is why.
Mm, okay, but don't scream at your actual uncle over dinner.
Matters what it is, man. Like, honestly, I mean, that's the thing, is that I grew up like in steep political debates with my uncles, with my grandpa. Um it's funny, when my wife, then girlfriend, met my mom, she goes, "Newkirk's like 3 things: watches, milk, and politics." And so, like, I've been normalized to, like, talk and debate politics, like, constantly. I've been reading the newspaper and debating people for a very long time, since 1998. So I remember when the Ken Starr report came out in the United States, and which is the salacious report about all the things that Bill Clinton did. My mom took the paper away and was like, "You can't read the paper today because it's there's too much in it." And I'm like, "What's So, like, these debates have happened for a long time, and we've kind of, like, backtracked from it, but this is the fight of your life. Like, I don't know how else to tell you. Like, there is nothing more, um, important right now than I feel like saving science from the nightmare hellscape that is the future without it being funded. So I genuinely do believe if you are an ally and you believe this and you're listening to my voice right now, like this is the fight of your life. Like this is it. It sucks because as a scientist, man, like I would love to be debating other things, like access to these medications that are curing people of cancer, of, trying to, progress it even further. Or there's a lot of different things that I would love to do, but we're not in that world and you just live in this world. But this is the world that I have found myself in and that you find yourself in. So what else are we gonna do? We either fight or we run around like that UFC fighter, and that we are not gonna be that UFC fighter that's running around in the ring, okay? We are going to engage, and we are going to make a difference in this world by actually engaging with these people.
Our next question comes from Nadia again. And she says, there's an idea that debating gives an impression that science and denialism are on an equal footing. What do you think?
Yeah, this is the age-old, like, platforming bad ideas take, and I think that, um, 20, 30 years ago, this made sense because there's so few platforms. So if you have 5 channels that all have, and that's where 90% of people are getting their media, then yeah, why would you spend half of your time tracking anti-vax rhetoric? Like that doesn't make any sense. But nowadays, what happens is that people live in a world that's surrounded and that's shaped by their algorithms. So the difference is that everyone lives in their own little silo. And in order to break into those silos, you have to shatter the algorithm. You have to rage, basically have people rage watching your content, or breaking in and talking to those people. So it is so important actually to actually engage with these things, these ideas, these people. And I would say the reason specifically in the United States why we've kind of like, right, the scientific community, we haven't been engaging in the last like 10 years in this stuff, and that's kind of the problem. So we, you know, imagine a world where nobody, like no scientist was ever debating anyone, because we do our debates on publications. We're not going to debate anyone. Like, imagine that world right now. Just think about it. Okay, so what's proliferating? Do you think science conspiracies are going to be running rampant? Yeah. Do you think that people are going to be talking about science through science communication? Yes. But like it's less accessible, right? They're not the science communication, the pro science communication content isn't going to be as good. Um, and and so I think that in that world versus even the worst science communicator, even like the worst science communicator for a scientist that's engaging in science communication and they're doing an awful bad job about it. I don't think that they're promoting conspiracy, right? They are engaging with ideas and being a poor communicator. And a poor communicator, they can be better at communicating, but at least there's a scientist there that's approachable and answering questions. So those two worlds, I'd much rather live in the world with science communicators that are poor communicators and engaged with ideas that are adversarial or bad, conspiratorial. Because on the other side, it's only conspiracy, right? It's only conspiracy that is proliferating.
Our next question comes from David, and they ask, do you ever debate with people about their religious beliefs, or is it mainly conspiracy theories and medical or scientific information?
I think that there's a big overlap. The Make America Healthy Again movement in the United States is really kind of like Christian healthcare, which is kind of odd. It kind of like is this whole idea of like, if you're a good person and you don't lie to people, then you don't have to worry about like viruses or cancer or so. So it is kind of like this weird, the overlap is very, very astute. But um I like, look, I think that, for me personally, I care the most about where science can impact people's lives and have the most quality of life improvement, right? In the 1950s, we were more religious and super vaccinated in the United States. So religiosity has gone down along with vaccination status. Um, so I do think that you can be religious and support evolution. You can be religious and be vaccinated. Those people do exist. I'm not one of them. I'm not religious myself. But if people ask you your opinion, I think that you kind of have to, honestly give a faithful interpretation of it. I mean, I try to relate to religious people, and say that I even call myself a Christian atheist, which is a real term. Wikipedia, it does exist. Um, but the idea is that like I don't believe in the supernatural, but I believe that the teachings of Jesus Christ and the fact that we should love thy neighbor, we should look after the least fortunate, we should, um, like it is evil to be gluttonous. Greed is not a good thing. These like all these things that I can espouse to. I can relate to people that are religious that think that. So I go kind of out of my way to say these are how my morals and my framework is about, and then we can talk about that. So I don't feel like in order to progress forward in society, we need to ban religion or anything like that. I feel like we are kind of like we are so far back from that. I think that, but the religious people, I think that if you are religious, I think that it's a great time in order to push back on this kind of like this type of insanity that like for example, it comes up a lot actually for my evolution debates, or virus debates even. People will say, well, Adam and Eve weren't vaccinated. Like, why would I take a vaccine if Adam and Eve weren't vaccinated? Adam and Eve lived until 900 years old. So obviously humans can live until 900 years old. So obviously modernity and microplastics and 5G airwaves have made our life expectancy from 900 to 80. That's not okay. And you're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No human has ever lived until the 900 years old, okay? So, those type of things, right? Those foundational beliefs now, I feel like those are conspiracies rather than like religion necessarily, right? So that's how I cage it. So if someone's religious, it's okay, but if someone's believing a conspiracy, like people lived until 900 years old, then I feel like we attack that.
Our next question comes from an anonymous participant, and they say, have you ever made any notable mistakes during your debates, and do you have any regrets?
Yeah, I think that's normal. Again, like making mistakes or failing is a good thing. I think that that's like in our culture, we have downplayed the importance of failing. So if you feel like you've done everything right and there's no possible way to improve, well, you haven't learned from that experience. So that's probably a bad thing, actually. Um, I mean, in my first live debate that I just had in Vegas, I drove there and had one, which went well. And he basically was asking me about it was an evolution versus creationism like debate thing, and um, basically he asked me to define evolution and explain to him the mechanisms of evolution, and I was in that moment, and I was kind of like in debate mode, and my big thing is like I'm not going to be led around by them by their questions and kind of like um I'm not gonna let them kind of, uh, steer me into wherever they wanna go, right? I'm gonna take charge of the conversation, and I'm gonna steer this thing. So, when he asked me that, I kind of went into that debate mode, and I didn't just kind of, like, say, "Well, I can my bigger point was, "I'm not going to define evolution for you because you say that you believe in microevolution, so I want you to define what microevolution is. I'm not gonna explain something that you are saying you support. I want you to support to say the thing that you talked about." And I basically say, "Well, you defined evolution," and I didn't, and that was I said, "No," and I think that that was bad because as a science communicator, it's frustrating to me that people don't explain the mechanisms of evolution during evolution debates. And I felt like as a science communicator, as a scientist, and as someone who has used evolution in the lab before, like it's kind of like my onus is on me in order to do that. So even if it would have taken a minute out of the 20 minutes, I felt like that would have been a good time for me to spend. So I need to work on like keeping the wheels on the ground and me driving the conversation, right? But I need to kind of step back and also be a science communicator in that moment.
Our next question comes from Igor, and he asks, have you ever had a debate with somebody who actually had a really good point? And has there ever been anything that's made you change your mind in those debates?
Hmm. Man, not the sad part is not really, because a lot of people aren't really educated about these issues that try to debate people on TikTok. So they kind of just it just doesn't yeah, it really hasn't unfortunately. Um there are things that I didn't understand, like that someone said in the moment that I didn't get like the mechanisms of or something, and I was like, oh, I don't understand what that is. I'll have to look at that, and then I did the research, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he was completely lying there. How has like that's wild that he even made that claim. So that's usually how it's going. It's kind of like when I was talking about it in my talk, where it's it's one of those things where you look into the source and you're like, "Well, this looks official. It's a DOI number. Oh my gosh, it must be a publication." And then you look and it's just some preprint of just some random PDF that someone just uploaded to a preprint server, and there there actually isn't anything there. So there have been things that have been presented to me that I didn't see in the moment, but then when I looked into it, it wound up being nothing. But that's usually, that's just the way it is, because the reality is that like science, if it was real that science that vaccines cause autism, right, or something like, right, there would be tons of publications that you could point to, and there just aren't. So that you when you have like reality on your side, it's just, is there ever any incidences that someone has ever shown you to make you think that leprechauns exist? 'Cause leprechauns don't exist. So, that's just kind of that is the reality sometimes.
Our next question comes from Dave J. And he asks, are there any topics that are just not worth debating? Anything where there is nothing to gain but everything to lose?
Hmm. Hmm. Interesting. Um, I do think that everything should be at least talked about. I think in a democracy, it's important. Like all ideas should be on the table, and you know, maybe it's just me, but I kind of have an internal monologue even on things that I care about to see like what are these things and why do I believe them in my head. So I'm constantly kind of like going through my own ideas, even the foundational beliefs and stuff. Um, I do think that you know yeah, I think that you should be open to debate like any idea, like genuinely. It should be a pretty easy, um, people routinely say like, is it good to even allow like Nazis on campuses, right? Stuff like that. This is what people are, or we were talking about before, like anti-trans people denying the existence of trans people. You should give them a debate platform. I think that as long as it's being debated, then it's okay. If you're giving your platform, to someone completely open without challenge for an hour or something, then that's absolutely egregious and that's awful. But, like, that should be debated, and then also you should absolutely take that person to task. Like, just you do not need to be if it's someone that's that egregious, they are not the victim. When you are taking them to task and you are making them look like an idiot, they are not the victims in that moment. The victims are the trans people, excuse me, the trans people that they are denying the existence of, right? Anti-vaccine people that RFK, the victim isn't RFK when I go after him, for all of his, awfulness. The victims are the kids that are dying from vaccine preventable illnesses now. So we should absolutely, like, I would say that we should debate these topics, but we shouldn't coddle them. And we've been coddling them too long. And we've been coddling conspiratorial thinking for way too long in our society. And that's actually why we are in the problem, and the problem that we're in right now is that, like, people have been been too nice to these radical ideas. So don't deplatform them yet. Like, we have to absolutely make these people look like fools for believing this.
Are there any topics that you would personally step back from, or topics that you've previously stepped back from that you're now happy to go ahead and debate?
I mean, I guess because I'm a streamer, and really any topic can come in and chat, um, I think that is kind of like the point, and so I personally, I would, but that's just me. Um, but I think what the problem is that our media lacks nuance nowadays. So what happens is that when people have, like, these hot takes or something, these really spicy things, people want you to have a specific viewpoint. If you don't have that specific viewpoint, then you're ostracized. And so what it curates is a dogmatism. And I think that the dogmatism is what's cancerous. It's not necessarily, like, the bad idea is absolutely abhorrent, but, like, the dogmatic, you have to have this belief, or you're castigated from society. I feel like that only pushes people outside of society, So, again, I think that for people that are misinformed, you give them their hand up. But for people that are spreading disinformation, you can absolutely be relentless to them, and be not okay. And again, like, if you feel certain ways about something, then, and you feel really strongly about it, like, lean into that. Like, for the United States right now, because of, abortion access and stuff, that's like, someone like, women feel like they are fighting for their lives, and they are. In a lot of these states, they are being denied healthcare that is gonna save their lives. And I actually have people in my community, her daughter died specifically because of the anti-abortion legislation that got passed. They went to the emergency room 3 times, got denied 3 times, and she died from sepsis, because they didn't want to touch her, because they needed her to be in a life-threatening condition. She went into a life-threatening condition. They couldn't bring her back. So, like, I wouldn't, am I going to tell that person, yeah, you should go debate abortion people? Like, no, no, obviously not, right? But if they feel like they should, and they feel like they want to fight, then let's do it. Absolutely, we should encourage that.
Yeah. Our next question comes from Nadia, and she asks, have you ever dealt with somebody close to you who has weird beliefs? And in what ways was that different to debating strangers online?
Yeah, I feel like it's funny when you're close to someone. It's like, so my parents are both, like, liberal. They're not Republicans, which is rare, I guess, in the United States. And it's funny, like, even their points of view, like, man, during the '08 Obama election, dude, oh my gosh, Hillary versus Obama, the '08 to '07, that was gnarly. So even, like, if people that are close to you, my point is, it's kind of like Princess and the Pea, right? Where it's like, people that are close to you, it can be even harder to understand why they are so disparate in this one thing. Like, how can you not see what I'm seeing here? And so yeah, it can be hard. I think that in general, though, like, again, engaging with those conversations, having those conversations is completely normal. And I think that that's okay. Like, you can disagree about those things, and and you can still love someone, you can still be around someone, and I do feel like those opposites are actually really good. Genuinely, I really do. Like, if those opposites around you will kind of like make you a better person because you're able to contend and put yourself in the mind of someone else. If you're I mean, a good empathetic practice in general, to practice empathy, like, for example, like, what I do if I'm driving down the road and someone cuts me off or something, instead of just being like, "Oh my god, what do you obviously, you shouldn't have done that," right? You're like, and it's easy to get your emotions, the best of you, but just think of that person going through the worst morning of their life. Their mom died, they're late for school for their kids got suspended, you got a citation, whatever it is, and then now that person is thrust in front of you, and then now they cut you off. And it's like, okay, well, that's a big morning for that person. Like, I'll let them have this one. You know what I mean? So that that's just good empathy practice in general in your life. And then try to kind of like practice that with those tough situations. Try to get into that mindset of like, okay, well, how and ask questions. Those are the big things. The asking questions and practicing that empathetic um, uh, technique. I would give people that advice.
So our next question comes from Eagle, and he asks, I feel like recent events let people be more open with their batshit crazy beliefs. Do you see it in the quality of the arguments of your opponents?
I'm sorry. One more time. One more time. Okay, I get it.
So
I feel like recent.
so
Okay, I get you. I get you. Uh, oh, yes. So I think, yes, dude. Dude, like the whole idea of people denying the existence of viruses, I never even thought that would be possible. Like, how could you deny? We can take pictures of viruses. Like, these are behind my head here. These are actually pictures of Chlamydomonas ranhardi, which is from my PhD research. These are 10 microns apart. You know what I mean? Like, and there are little dots in there that are literally bacteria. Sometimes, like, I can like see bacteria. We can take SCM and AFM images of viruses now. Like, how you can literally see it. Like, how could you deny the existence of viruses? Um, but again, man, like, people live their life through these algorithms, and what happens is that they see 1,000 swipes of like, yeah, man, crazy that viruses haven't even been cultured. Wow. And they're like, what? Wow, crazy that viruses have never been isolated. What? Or the popular one that I'm going to get you on, a lot of you in the audience that's watching right now, how many of you believe that lab leak is true? A lot of people think that lab leak is true. You know that there's no scientific evidence, not a single piece of scientific evidence to show that SARS-CoV-2 outbroke from the lab. It was a wet market, zoonotic, natural transmission, just like every other virus that has in the history of millennia. And but how many people believe that? So um my point is that everyone is kind of susceptible to this stuff. Marketing works. Like the companies spend billions of dollars on marketing because it's easy to persuade people. That we know this. We know like the when I was a kid in the United States, it was actually banned to sell Spider-Man toys in the commercials of the Spider-Man cartoon because what are you gonna do? You're gonna mess with little kids, man? That's gross. What's wrong with you? Okay. Now YouTube, freaking Hot Wheel Monster Truck has a 24/7 monster truck stream. Like they don't like what do you mean? There are Spider-Man like YouTube channels with 20 million subscribers. You know what I mean? So it's just like everything is blown up 1,000%. So, yeah, so we do see them. It is existing. And that's why I think that everyone that cares about this issue, that's what I'm trying to get more people, and hopefully I've inspired. My goal is one person from SITP DMing me, TikTok, or coming into my chat and YouTube chat, whatever it is, one person to change their mind and to post a single thing. That's it. Just one person to post a single thing that's pro science. That's all I want.
Oh, I think our audience are already pretty pro science.
There you go. Then I should be getting a lot of DMs.
Yeah. I suppose one of the things that occurred to me while you were talking about the different ways that we can actually get images of viruses and things like that is that while it's true that we humans as a whole, like we've figured out how to do that, trusting when somebody says this is a picture of a virus, like, is not a massively different request than when people say, look, no, trust me, I've got proof that vaccines cause autism. Like, on these two different, they're going in completely different directions, but you're still asking somebody to trust an individual's authority. So I guess how do we deal with that? Like, sort of say no, because sometimes I think scientists, and science communicators, we can look a little bit like we're saying, like, no, don't trust him, trust me. Like, how can we back that up with approachable evidence and things that people can go away and verify for themselves?
That's a great question. I mean, fundamentally what the attack is on expertise, right? They're saying that it doesn't matter that you've been a microbiologist for 20 years. It doesn't matter that you cultured these microbes, that you put them on a slide, that you published the paper. It doesn't matter any of that. But my opinion matters just as much as yours. So that is the real attack. And I feel like that is what you should be thinking about. Like, but I in the same way, like, expertise absolutely does matter. Like, if you had a brain cancer, are you gonna get, you're gonna get a second opinion from another neuroscientist or another neurosurgeon. You're not gonna go to a plumber, right? Yeah, if you have a car problem, what are you gonna do? Like, are you gonna go to a mechanic? So, people are trusting of expertise in these things when they need it. You could take the naturopath person that spends $100 a month on rosemary tinctures, okay? But guess what? When they have a broken arm, they're going to the emergency room. So the question and this is where those discussions should lead is figuring out where do they believe expertise exists and where does it not exist, and why is there that difference, right? So on my stream, it's called the list. We go through all the major conspiracies in the world, and basically some of them, like they'll think the Earth is flat, they'll think all this stuff, but like they also think that dinosaurs are real. And I'm like, why do you think that dinosaurs are real? What do you mean? Like, you're a flat earther that it's like, oh, well, I really like dinosaurs as a kid. And like, I just think that they're really cool. And you're like, wait, what? Like, so, sometimes like that conversation, you never would have thought that it would have gone there, but by asking questions, now you can understand the real truth of like, oh, okay, but why? Okay, so then why are the paleontologists telling the truth, but the climate scientists aren't, right? So that's the idea. Like, how how do you gauge those two things? Now, how do you navigate that? And these are the questions for that person, right? So that, like, ask those questions. Again, I'm telling you, like, asking questions is, the Socratic method is our way out, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going to teach you apologetics. I'm not going to teach you the one thing that you know what I mean. But by asking questions, you can really get to the heart of the matter, and it's honestly a way more fun and engaging conversation for you.
Our next question is another anonymous one, and they ask, do you have a favorite type of person to debate? Like, do you have more fun with flat earthers than anti-vaxxers, or do you enjoy free men of the land more than people who don't believe in the moon landings?
Dude, my honestly, my favorite debates are science debates. When this is the thing, like, Science is relentlessly like we are debating constantly, you know. So at the lab, when you talk about the results of the lab, like, is that the right conclusion to draw from that? Is that the right method, or did you actually, you know, is that the right question that we are asking, or did we actually prove it this time? Should we go through another way of proving this to be true, because there is this one subset of this one thing that, you know, that could be it though, and your friend's like, no, but that's why I have this control and this experiment and this thing, and you're like, but this could actually be it too. This is, we can't discount this, and you're constantly fighting with one another. It is relentless, and you're like, as a scientist, you're going, bro, like, I just spent I stayed up until 3 a.m. on this thing. I've been working on this experiment for 3 weeks, and now you're going to tell me that it doesn't mean anything. Like, what are you talking? So it can be really personal. It can be easy to take science arguments and debates very personally, because you're spending so much time doing them. But in reality, they're just attacking your claim, right? The thing that you're saying is true. And that's just at the lab bench. That's just at the pub. That's just at lunch. And okay, we're not even talking about presenting at lab meeting. All right. Going at lab meeting. Now you have to present it to your PI, other PIs, other people in the lab. Now you have two people watching this presentation, and they're just relentlessly every single figure. What are you talking about? Or you're saying that? That's not what that proves. That's not true. You didn't include the control on this. How do we know that that proves that? It is excruciating. And then finally you get your story together, and you're like, maybe I have made a contribution to science. And then you try to, you know, pursue it into publications, and you try to submit it, and publications are like, this is trash. Trash after trash, trash. Every publication says that, and then one's like, yeah, maybe we'll work on it. And then you go in and you get 3 reviewers that just rip your paper to shreds, hundreds of comments, hundreds. And you're like, how can one person have, there's only 5 pages here. How can there be hundreds of, there are hundreds of comments, and there's times 3. And there's always that second reviewer that's like literally saying, this shouldn't even be published. This is awful. This is trash. Not only is it bad, it doesn't show what it shows, but then it's actually been done before. So why would you even try to publish this? And you're like, oh my gosh, okay, so I got to do more experiments in order to prove my claim. I got to try to figure this out. And then finally, maybe after months of peer review, back and forth with each of these reviewers, you actually add, you add 50% more experiments. You had 10 experiments to be starting, and now you have 5 experiments just to cover your bases with these guys. And then finally you say it gets passed. And then finally you tell the editor, you're like, please, I have been begging to publish this publication, and we've done every single, we've answered 300, 400 comments from these guys. Like, please, editor, please actually just let us publish this thing. And he's like, okay, yeah, finally you actually you meet that mark. Like, that is real debate. That is actually how publications happen. That's just for one publications, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now imagine that across different fields, different subfields. So, like, something like evolution, for example, has biology, chemistry, and physics data all corresponding, and then all of those subdomains all coming together into the same conclusion: evolution is real. Like, think of that debate, the scale of that debate. Millions of people, tens of millions of experiments coming to that thing. So, like, these things online, these debates that we have are kind of performative in a way, where we are kind of like talking about that as if this stuff matters. But the actual debate, the real, like, if you really love this stuff, if you really like want to dig into it, like, how do we actually know stuff and forming new knowledge? Man, those debates in science that's the best.
Mm. It's like that, to some extent, that kind of touches on a potential, something that I always find tricky with science dissemination and stuff, is a lot of people kind of commonly criticize science of saying, like, well, you lot can't agree on anything. A decade ago you were saying this, and now you've changed your mind. And people seem to respond quite positively to certainty.
Mhm.
So how do we show that actually that uncertainty, that constant questioning, is actually a good thing, and that science work, like, that's the method, the scientific method, working the way it should?
It's a great question, and I honestly I have not figured this one out because what happens is like science is never 100%, right? So we're 99 and 1 as opposed to 100%. And that 1%, now people are saying, "Oh, well, so you aren't sure, and so therefore it's 50-50." And you're like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, 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 it's not 50-50. It's not 50-50. It's like 99-1, you know?
Yeah.
So that is the problem. I mean, that is again, it's because of people that lack expertise, that lack, um when you're an expert in something, in a subject, you can understand that nuance, and a lot of times, people that just aren't experts in things, like, just in general, it's hard for them to grasp that. That's why I feel like video game analogies are the best, like, it's weird, but it's relatable. So, like in some aspect of if you were a level 1 warrior with your wooden sword, okay? Like, what is the percentage chance that the best weapon in off the end dragon, the biggest dragon in the world, that it's dropping the best sword, okay, what percentage chance would you say that like that end dragon's loot is better than your rusty wooden sword that you got at level 1? It's like, well, it's always going to be better. You're going to say it's always going to be better. What are you talking about? That's the best loot in the game. No, 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 no. No, actually, what if the boss that we were fighting this time actually does damage to you, the more damage that you do to it? So it's like Thorn's damage. You do damage to that thing, and then it gives you reciprocating damage to yourself. So you do 100 damage to that boss, and then it does 1,000 damage back to you. Well, in that case, then in that case, right? Wouldn't you say that the wooden sword is actually a better thing because it's doing less damage to you over time? It might be. It might be, right? But does that mean that the best sword in the game isn't the one that dropped off of the dragon at the end of the game? Obviously, that's the best one, guys. Obviously, that's the best one. Like, and this is the same thing for for vaccines. Like, would you ever live in a world where in a video game character where you do like hours and hours of questing and mob fighting and all that kind of stuff in order to level up your person, you know, would you ever leave an armor slot just empty? Like, what? No. Like, I want to upgrade my chest piece over time. I don't want to wear 0 chest piece. You know what I mean? So it's obviously better to get a better chest piece. So in that same way, like vaccines are just going without a chest piece, without a piece of armor. And now you are susceptible and you're taking way more damage than you would otherwise. So, so I feel like, yeah, I feel like it's a failure in communication sometimes, and making things more relatable is a way to kind of to help things land.
Okay. And one final question. If the Sitco audience want more Dr. Greg content, how do they get it?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Dr. Greg Show everywhere. One word, drgregshow.com. I primarily stream on YouTube, but most people watch me on TikTok. And I'm on Twitch and Instagram and Facebook and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been a really great evening. That's it for tonight. Next month, our next talk is going to be on Thursday, the 24th of September. And the talk will be 25 years after 9/11, looking at why there are still so many conspiracy theories lingering about that event, even though we're 25 years later. And the debate doesn't have to stop right now. We're going to open up the lock-ins razor, and you're all very welcome to join us. But for now, that's it. And thank you very much for joining us. Thanks.
And you're out.
You need to do that
The-
quicker.
I
Beautiful. Cool. Awesome. All right, guys. Well, oh, thank you, man. Appreciate you. Thanks for saying that. Mhm. Okay. Yeah. I know. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate the opportunity. Appreciate you. Bye. Oh, cool. All right, guys. That was fun. Yeah, that was cool. It was Skeptics in the Pub. That's what we were doing. Thank you for having me. Okay. Oh, that was fun. I'm feeling great. I'm feeling good. Yeah, I mean, the questions were good. I mean, they did a lot of there's a lot of like science like misinformation talks and that kind of stuff. So I wanted something different, which was like trying to engage people to get involved, as opposed to just talking about it. So yeah, that was my goal. And so it was good. And it was like a subject that I wanted to have a video on, a long form video. So I thought it was good. I'm happy to have it. So I think it's gonna be good. Mhm. All right. Well, guys, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate you. Love you. Thank you for being here. I haven't been streaming as much lately. Just been taking a mental health break. And I appreciate you for watching. Oh, thank you, Zilla. Thank you. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. So I think appreciate you guys for being patient with me and because honestly, it's gearing up to a bunch of content coming out. So I've been doing a lot of real life stuff. So um it's been good. And if you if you if you want your number one cooking number one cooking stream, your number one science stream is turned into your number one cooking stream, ladies and gentlemen. So I don't know. I've taken over cooking for the family, and basically I am kind of having a lot of fun with it. So as I really see my stream and my show as kind of like an extension of the things that I love the most, and obviously science and politics is a huge part of that. But as I take on cooking more, it's been fun to add cooking into my stream and have content about that. And I think it's a cool kind of refutation of the idea that you have to be like anti-vaccine if you're pro sourdough starter, or make your own granola. You know what I mean? Like I am inhabiting who I am, and that is multifaceted. And so I've just been having a lot of fun with it. And I appreciate you guys watching. And yeah, so we will definitely um I'm gonna be cooking more on stream, on videos. And I think my idea with my cooking content is to kind of like talk about more technology and stuff, which is kind of like how I like to talk about things anyway. So talking about the technology of cooking rather than the best recipes, because I'm never gonna have the best recipes, you know what I mean? But I'm gonna be trying to do it in my way. And my way is tech forward and doing that kind of stuff. So, yeah. Oh, nice, MB. I cook a lot. This will be fun. Exactly. Hey, Michael, what's up, dude? So yeah. So I'm gonna I'm gonna start streaming here every night again really soon. It's just I basically had to transition into cooking full time for the family. So I kind of needed that extra time to get that going. And then I also needed some time to get some personal stuff going because I need a job. So I need those job applications and I need those that cooking time. But I miss streaming. I do miss it. I miss streaming a lot. And um so we're coming back with a fury. We're gonna have the Vegas debate is gonna come out, guys. It's gonna be rad. I can't wait. Alex Stein, super bad person. Alex Stein's not a good person, and I debated him in person in Vegas. So it was really fun. Hey Heather. Um, so yeah, thank you for being here. I'm gonna head out. I'm definitely gonna stream tomorrow night 100%, obviously with the panel. But tonight I don't know if 100% if I am going to. So, um, but I love you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you. Thanks for putting up with me. I don't know. I don't know. Sorry. Sorry. It's not a phase, Dad. It's not a phase. So I've just been family stuff, but that's good. It's good. So love you. Appreciate you. I'll see you soon. Bye.